I was thinking of a topic that I could do that maybe people would be interested in somewhat, and the topic I came up with was pronouns, like my personal opinion, approach, view on pronouns and things like that. And I kind of think maybe I'm a little different than most people, and I've not met anyone who feels the way I do about it, so I thought I'd put it out there, see if other people feel the same way, or what people's opinions were, things like that. But God, I'm saying it's terrible. The phases I went through with pronouns is, I very early on, I met and talked to a lot of trans people who thought that you should define things very clearly for people, and you should tell people what your expectations are, and then when they don't meet those expectations, that you should inform them of that. So that would be in a situation where you'd make some sort of speech or some announcement that you were transition gender, and you expected people to use a certain pronoun, and if you didn't, that you were going to call them on it or something like that. And that really wasn't my style. And so I felt like if you told them to use those pronouns and to refer to you that way, that if they did, it would be just basically you telling them to do and them complying with that. And I didn't really think that there was much benefit to me to that. Like, it was more important to me that people kind of figured out and feel that way, and use the pronouns that seemed to be fairly clear that I would want them to. And so I was always of the standpoint that you should use, whenever anyone asks me, well, what should I do? I've always told people that they should be comfortable, like, do whatever you feel comfortable with, and like, I want you to be comfortable, and it's your opinion. I don't even know if I said that. If it's more of, look at the situation, if we're meeting your friends or whatever, and just do what you feel comfortable with. And I thought that was like an enlightened place to be, and that I don't know, I was kind of proud about it at the time. That it wasn't, I wasn't going to force people to do anything, and hopefully they would figure it out. And maybe that was the big hope, that people would be like, oh, I'm starting, I do understand, I see, and they would change their pronoun use and that sort of thing. Well, what ended up happening was that people didn't change their pronoun use, and that they would continue to refer to me, and it started to have more and more of an impact on me, because it made me feel like I wasn't progressing, or that I still looked like I used to, or people still thought of me the way that they used to. And so it started being this really negative thing, and then I realized that I was giving people the opportunity to judge me every time that I let them decide. I was letting them make a judgment upon me, and when that judgment came back in a way that I didn't like, then it was a negative impact to me, and it affected things like my self-esteem and my personal confidence and those sorts of things. So I realized that I was giving my power away, which is one of the things that I'm very aware of these days, is that I don't want to give my power away. And I don't know, I just look at a lot of things like that. Like, I want to be a strong person. I want to be, I don't want to give that power away. I don't want to be a victim or be a tragic figure or things like that. So then I was like, well, you know what? Maybe this whole tell people what you want and enforce it and that sort of thing is the way to go, because then at least if they're complying, or if they're paying attention or doing what you're asking them to do, that that you can't be sure that it's not that they don't see you. But when they're not doing it, you can be sure that they're not seeing you the way that you want to be seen. But I never had any kind of talk with anyone about that, and I got through that phase very quickly. And it coincided with a time that I wasn't feeling very confident about myself or good about things in general, and it was almost like my insecurities fixated on that particular thing. And then finally I got back to the place that it was, people can say whatever. I really don't care. If you want to say it's not going to hurt my feelings. If you continue to see me the way that you've seen me all your life, and if you can't figure it out and you can't work on it, then there may be some repercussions of it, but it's certainly not, the repercussion's not going to be that I don't feel good about myself. It's going to be that, maybe I'm just not going to feel good about being around you. And if I don't feel good about being around you, just like anyone else, I'm just going to choose to not be around you. And that seemed like a more, a decision I could make more from a place of power, and something I could control and something I could choose. And so I've been in that place about pronouns for the last, a month or so. By the way, I am 1 year and 1 week on hormone replacement therapy, which I'm very excited about. It's interesting. It's been a fast year and a slow year at the same time, and I do realize now that it's a marathon race. It's not a sprint, and so the challenge is waiting and patience and those sorts of things. But so it's 1 year, 1 month, and I'm in a place where the people around me who are strangers far more often than not refer to me as female, even when I'm extremely male dressed and those sort of things, which is interesting to me, but it happens time and time again. So I take the feedback from strangers. I don't think that there's all these smart strangers out there figuring it out that I'm trans, and I'm gonna be respectful of that person's desire to be perceived in a certain way. It's certainly not that, because there's just not that many people in the world that are that aware. So I take that as really good feedback from everyone, and the people that are from my past and people who have known me before I transitioned, they're not making progress, and it's something I think about, but I'm at a place where I can continue to give them leeway and continue to give them time and continue to talk to them and continue to keep trying at this point. So if you're one of the people that I've shared this channel with, and you catch this video, and maybe you're one that keeps saying he or whatever, I'm not. This is not an ultimatum. It's information that I'm sharing with the world, and really, I'd like to talk to trans people about it and how they feel about it. But think about it. Keep thinking about it. I know it's really hard to try and change this little piece of your brain in the very back that decided what gender I was the first 25 milliseconds you met me, but I'm pretty sure you can do it, and I would appreciate it if you do, because it does, it does say something when you do that. I'm not sure what it says, but in any case, so this is my 1 year and 1 week video, HRT, and I have totally sobered up since that. I don't know if it was a good plan or not, but because I was feeling kind of good and buzzed earlier. But hopefully this video turns out, and I'll post it, and it'll be the first video in a while that I've posted. So.